First of all, I want to recognize the people over there and Ginger. They work so hard for the village of Morton. They work extremely hard. You have no idea what they all do. I want to start off with just a very small piece about China, because I think Steve Newhouse is going to do a program later on. I don't want to steal his thunder. It was a fantastic experience again. It was just an unbelievable experience. But after the second time, I've concluded that those who feel that we should not be trading with China are definitely wrong. No question, I feel that they're wrong. Even if we do not import with China, they are going to be a major economic force in this world. They have almost 1.3 billion people. We can't ignore that. And I feel the only way that we can improve some of the civil rights that they have over there is become business partners with them and actually show them the way. I had a good friend this morning say, you know, Norm, I agree with you on going to China. I agree with you trying to get the businesses to come over here, but I disagree with you about the sister city. And I said, that's interesting. Now, why? He says, I don't see any benefit for it. I said, well, let me explain something to you. The mayors in the cities and the mayors in the counties are the major factor on whether a Chinese company can come to the United States and invest in the United States. I actually saw that with Kim at a table where the mayor was there, the president of the company was there. We had our meals, we had fun together, and the mayor, a woman, said something in Chinese to the president of the company, and he stood up, he grabbed his wine bottle, or glass, came to me and toasted me and said, she says we can come to Morton. She determined whether we have a chance of getting a Chinese company to invest here. That's why we have to have a presence in China. We have to have a partnership in China. Without it, it's not going to work for Morton. That's about all I'm going to say about China. Now I'm going to go through some facts, and I'm going to apologize for reading some of these, but there's some numbers here, and I'm still into jet lag, to tell you the truth, and so it's a little hard to memorize, especially at my age in jet lag. But I want to forecast. I've asked all of our department heads and our superintendents to give me information on what do you think about the future? What's Morton going to be like when she and she are middle-aged, 30 years from now? Think about that. 30 years. What is Morton going to be like? I'm going to go through the departments and tell you what our department heads have said. That scares you, doesn't it? Be as old as your, well, not as old as your mother. Your mother's only 30. So, I am a politician, you know. Okay. Let's look at ambulances first. We have one of the finest paramedics in central Illinois, if not the state. So how do we determine what the ambulances are going to be like? You know, what that process is? Well, population is a poor predictor of emergency services demands. And I thought it wasn't the predictor. What I didn't think about was the daily transient into this community. We have more people coming into this community than we have leaving. look around at the tables, and I hate to say this to some of you, but this is a pretty senior population. And it's going to get more senior. The healthcare facilities around here. We have three healthcare facilities. They definitely do demand some services once in a while. The transportation volumes, I-74, I-55, our streets. I don't know if you've noticed, but it seems like the last 10 years it's becoming busy in here, and cars do run into each other. And then the social, economic factors also relate to the ambulances. We're a very rich community, and we are willing to use medical services. Let's look at our 12-year growth. In 1999, we had 103.4 responses per 1,000 population. Just a little over 100. In 2011, we had 155.4 responses. Over 50 more responses. This is rather significant. If we project to 2039, the per capita will be 226 per 1,000. A 46% increase. In 30 years, with a 1% growth per year, an additional fully staffed ambulance will be needed. That will be a new ambulance and 2 new paramedics. Let's look at the fire department. There really is no population indicator for the fire department either, but nor is there one for when do you have to have a full-time fire department. There isn't an indicator. The indicator is when you people in the community decide that you don't want to volunteer anymore. If we have to go to a full-time, we will probably phase it in, a combination of volunteer and full-time fire department. That force would start out at approximately $1 to $1.5 million annually. A full-time fire force without volunteers would be $2 to $2.4 million. A 1-cent sales tax will only get us $1.6 million. The reason why our taxes are low in Morton today, our real estate taxes are low today, is because of our fire department being a volunteer. I just had one of you come up to me a half an hour ago and say that I ought to try to persuade another mayor to get their full-time fire department to a volunteer. This individual recognizes what we have and the quality that we have. How about fire stations? We have a beautiful fire station out here, of which Ginger and Steve and the other trustees and I have had some criticism about having. I'll defend that fire station to the end. I'll defend that fire station to the end because we have to have a quality fire station, quality equipment, or we don't keep volunteers, and you're going to pay $2 million. Bottom line. A significant amount of planning has occurred with the fire department. The new firehouse that I talked about, we're going to need a second firehouse. We're going to have to move out of the Adams Street firehouse. It just isn't safe. We can't raise make the doors any bigger. We're going to have to move out. And we're going to have to move out probably in 3 to 5 years. What's the cost of that going to be? I would guess $1.5 million, maybe $2 million, nowhere close to the cost of this one, because this will be a substation. We've purchased property on Queenwood and also some property on 150. With firehouses, you need to have them spaced a certain distance apart, so the response time is quick in case you have a heart attack. The Queenwood location will most likely be the first new firehouse of the two. The reason? The nursing homes are out there. I've had people ask me, why did you put the firehouse out here in Cortland? Because the majority of the calls are in the 74, 155 area and in this area. They're strategically placed for a reason. What about apparatus and equipment? A few years ago, we decided that we just could not afford to buy a fire truck whenever we thought it was time to buy a fire truck. So a financing plan occurred in which we set aside money every year for our apparatus and equipment, so that when it comes time, on the schedule, we buy the equipment, we have the money. Let's look at the police. Present station was opened in 2004 and was constructed for at least a 50-year time period. In the future, in the near future, the Morton Auxiliary Police Force will be using the downtown tourism building, which was Ray Mason's office. They will be in the basement as a staging point for all of the activities that Susan brings to us downtown. They really did not have a place downtown, so we needed to do that. How about traffic? 15 years of population growth and additional development north of I-74 has increased traffic volumes, even on arterial streets like Jefferson, Maine, and Detroit. Major traffic concerns. Most of the traffic growth is due to the transient movement into town. Unbelievably, though, the accident rate has remained fairly consistent over 20 years. There may even be a decline in accidents when I-74 and North Morton interchange is redone. And that should be occurring this next year or the year after. We're going to have about 3 years of inconvenience with this interchange here. Let's move to crime rate. 90% of the reportable crimes are property crimes in this town. Most being thefts and vehicle burglaries. I just found out last night from another mayor that some of the young individuals who've been breaking into the cars in this town and another town have been let out of jail. So lock your cars. They're out again. Morton's growth and being an affluent community, for whatever reason, the citizens make it an easy opportunity for theft. You know, when I came here 33 years ago, I never worried about locking the house or locking the car. We have to start worrying about that. Times have changed. Morton's residents surveyed indicated that only 13.7% feel that property thefts should be the main focus on the police. And yet, 90% of the crime is property theft. We need to realize we have a problem here, and we can solve the problem if we just turn the key. Morton's residents also indicated that 57.1% of the feel in crimes against persons and 36.2% believe drugs should be the primary concern. No question, those are major concerns, and our police force is watching that as close as they can. If we don't have the 90% problem, we can spend more time on the drugs and let the police do their job. How about staffing for the police? 22 sworn officers, an increase of 15 from 20 years ago. However, a 0 increase for the last 10 years. And we've had significant increase in traffic, and our population has gone up. The number of miles of streets has increased 6% in the past 5 years. We have an average of 55 to 60 residential building permits a year. Presently, there are 1.3 officers per 1,000 residents. With a 1% population growth, and in 30 years, there will be a need for 7 additional police officers. Those 7 will have to be working on not only the population growth, but the car load that we're going to have. There are 26 auxiliary police officers working in 2011. They put in 3,090 hours, of which 761 of them were for community events. Susan uses them well, and lots of times. One of the main safety things that our auxiliary police do that you don't think about because many times you're sleeping or you're in the basement is there are weather watchers. They're out there on the line so we can feel safe in our homes. Let's turn to Public Works. We have a GIS system, or a Geographic Information System. It's a tool to use for research, planning, development, budgeting, and engineering. We have a map of almost everything in this town, above ground and underground. We know almost where everything is because of our GIS system. We're second to none in this area. Why are we second to none? Because we are second to none for improving our infrastructure. Other communities postpone working on infrastructure. We don't do that. Other communities are going to have major debt in the future because they have postponed that. We also have a global positioning system, or a GPS system. It was purchased, and if you look at the chimney on the municipal building, you'll see an antenna up there. That's going to be used so we can easily point out spots in this community. Shooting it to a satellite, shooting it down from the satellite to our antenna. Again, one of the very few communities. Why did we have to have it? Because of infrastructure. Let's look at the water department. We have 8 wells, 3 water treatment plants, and a capacity of 5 million gallons, and we have 3 500,000-gallon water towers. We have 102 miles of water mains. We have 1,133 water valves and 828 fire hydrants. Every one of them can be pointed out on that GIS system. Morton has a water distribution model for future planning. From this, a water treatment facility plan will be needed, will be used in 5 years so that we know what to do for water and for growth. We can't allow the community to outgrow the water system and let a school burn down because there's not enough water. Wastewater, that's one that we don't think about till you flush. And when it doesn't flush, you're upset. We have 2 wastewater facilities, 94 miles of sewer line, 1,900 manholes to get into them. Plant number 2, which is on 4th Street, averages 2.4 million gallons per day of wastewater. The maximum it can take is 6 million, so we have some room. We can over double. Plant number 3 out on Veterans, it uses 0.96 million gallons, or about 1 million gallons a day, with a maximum of 2.38, so we can almost double that, or over double that. We have capacity with our wastewater. 30-year projection. Based on what they're doing with the EPA, we have a concern that there may be a requirement to limit fats, oils, and greases in our homes. We already have systems to collect those in our businesses. Most likely we will have to develop a program to solve that type of a problem. Growth east of Tennessee will need a new lift station or a trunk line. So if we go out that way, we have some significant wastewater costs. Growth towards Tennessee and Queenwood will most likely double the flow, and therefore will need to double the size of the plant down the road. More commercial and industrial growth north of 74 may result in expansion of plant number 3, depending on what kind of growth that is. In the near future, we're going to have a new televising system for our wastewater. If you see this white truck out there and you see wires going down into the sewer, that's our television. We're checking the sewers out. If it looks like that they need to be fixed, many times we go in with a system that puts a plastic sleeve inside what we have. When we do that, that system will last for years and years and years. But with growth, we may have to go to 2 of those. We also need to develop a plan within the next 2 years to provide planning recommendations required for modifications to maintain the National Pollutant Discharge Elimination System, wastewater. The EPA is not forgiving. We're spending over $1 million to fix downtown where our stormwater and our wastewater go together in the same pipes. That has to be stopped. All of these things you don't even know about are the responsibility of these people over here to stay ahead of it so that we're not fined. And yet, we still get fined because they changed the rules on us. How about the gas department? A new 8-inch gas line, which is 5.6 miles long, was installed in 2004. That doubled our capacity of usage. Our gas company has 5,835 customers, has 754 main valves, 116 miles of pipe, and since 1979, 58% of the gas systems have been installed or replaced. We have a new gas system, a fairly new gas system. Our gas load, which you probably don't think about, our gas load is 60% commercial and industrial, 40% residential. About a month or 2 ago, the village board approved an ordinance that said, if you live in Morton, you're buying Morton gas. If we hadn't done that, some of the businesses, commercial and industrial, may have switched and bought gas on the open market, and the capital cost of replacement would have been transferred to your gas bill. Who are the commercial biggest users? Caterpillar's, Nestle's, District 709, Matcor, and Morton Industries. Some of the names of people around this room. 30-year needs, probably need another high pressure line to the east. We need to connect a backdoor feed to provide a safety net in case something happens to the main feeder on our gas line. We need a gas mapping system software. And the biggest thing is keeping up with the demands of the federal government. If you call in and you say you have a gas leak, we have 20 minutes to get to you. You may call in at 1 o'clock in the morning. We still have 20 minutes to get to you. Regulations require that. Okay, street department. Mike's over here. He has 90-plus center lines of streets, 28 bridges, 110-plus street lights. I'm sorry, 1,100 street lights. And those are expensive. And the last change in the law allowed Silco to say, no longer can you put a street light up and we will just charge you for the light. You have to have a meter. Now, talk about insanity. A meter for every street light? Well, thank goodness we don't have to do that with the old ones. With the new ones, we do. And so we have required developers now that for every so many lights, you're going to have to put in a meter. This is getting expensive. And I know people like street lights in this town. About every 300 feet, I think, we have a street light in most cases. I'm telling you right now, someday in the future, there's going to have to be an additional tax of some sort to keep that lighting system. Our budget will not be able to afford it. Street maintenance includes cracked sealing, chip sealing, and resurfacing. We know that this community does not like chip sealing. We know also that we can't keep up with asphalting every new street or every new repair of a street. The oil prices are just too high. So something's going to have to give. 25% of the street system is inspected annually using a pavement management system. Using the pavement management system, we replace the pavements earlier than what you think they should be replaced. But if we wait too long, they fail all the way down, and then it's not a matter of grinding it out. It's a matter of taking it out and starting over. Also in your future, there may be a couple of roundabouts. Maybe a roundabout at 4th and Queenwood, maybe at Jefferson and Tennessee. There may be a train station on North Main Street at the park. Planning and zoning, in 2012 we had a 68% increase in single-family permits. Additional help will be needed there, and if we had a population of about 20,000. Over the last 20 years, there's the amount of zoning violations have increased faster than the population increased. There seems to be a different view by some people on how their homes and lawns are to be cared for. Municipal building, we're running out of space. We're going to have to do an addition on that sometime in the near future. And the utility office is going to be, we're going to be computerizing more than we have, and we may even be able to take credit cards for our utility bills or building permits. Future growth, and I'm getting very close here. The growth south across the power lines will require some sort of incentive for developers to purchase that land for residential use. People don't want to live close to power lines, so we have to make the cost of the land cheaper to entice people to live there. There will also have to be a requirement that we will have to build the road under the power lines. Right now we build bridges for developers. We may have to do that. Growth east of beyond Tennessee, as we mentioned, will increase wastewater investments. Additional subdivisions to the north may slow down because of the number of lots we already have out there. We have a wildlife preserve up off the trails of Timber Oaks. We need to be working on that so that the community can use it. Most of the community doesn't even know it's there. Cortland from North Morton Avenue to Commoners will have to probably be 5 lanes in the near future, depending on what kind of commercial activity is out there. Detroit from 150 to Birchwood will be 5 lanes in the next 5, 6, 7 years. We'll be moving that way. A bike path around the village will occur when those roads are redone. And designated bike paths in the village will most likely occur on some of our arterial streets, like 4th Street and Jefferson. And I'm out of time. I was going to do questions, but I have one more thing that I want to speak to today before I go. 4.5 years ago, I announced my candidacy for mayor and was elected. Today I'm announcing that I will not be a candidate for mayor in the next election. It's not because of any health problems. There's no personal reasons. My family wants me to run. In fact, my wife doesn't want me at home. She's begging me. And it's not that I don't like the mayor's position. I love the mayor's position. I love being mayor. There's 2 reasons why. The first one is I truly believe in term limits. And when I decided to become mayor, I decided 2 terms. That's it. No matter how good it is, how bad it is, 2 terms. The second reason, it's time. It's time for a new mayor and a new vision and a new comprehensive plan or a revised comprehensive plan. The mayor's position is too important for one person to have for a long period of time. It needs to be spread around the community. The second reason is for me personally. I need to move into a new phase of my life. 2 weeks ago today, I turned 65. I have been a public servant for 43 years. It's time for me to be a family servant. I want to thank all of you for your support this last 7.5 years. I know I didn't always do what you wanted, but I always felt your moral support. I have 6 months to go, and I'm hoping that you can keep supporting me for those 6 months. I want to God bless this village, and God bless all of you, and thank you for a great 7.5 years.
Mayor, I don't know how many people in the room already knew that, but it was certainly news to me. But thank you for your service, as always. I know everyone in this room appreciates it. It was obvious by the reception at the end. I know you're familiar with this stuff.
Yes.
But I think you deserve a can of it anyway. So thank you very much again.
Thank you.
Thank you.